Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 24. Happy Monday.
Wow.
Welcome.
That was high energy for a Monday, man. Why don't you tone it down a notch?
Can't. I started managing all my stuff on a list organizer. Now I'm just like
right?
full of energy.
This is
management.
Is new Tef. This is Apple Watch Tef. Look at this.
This is Apple Watch Tef. I've been closing rings.
Man.
I've been like burning calories. My move is up. So I said I stood and I was like, yeah, and the explosions on my wrist. Amazing.
Have you added people to it yet? Where like you can have a little competition with people.
Yeah, memes keeps winning. I'm pissed, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, she keeps winning. I'm like, could you calm down with the winning and the competition? She even gets a thing that it said no competition because she won like 6 of the 7 days.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a burn.
That
I've been in
Like
competition with my mother who had foot surgery 5 weeks ago, and I've been crushing it.
absolutely murdering the competition.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I've also started juicing too. So I'm full of
wow.
juicing nutrients. Yes. Not steroids,
Oh,
vegetables.
I was about to say that.
Vegetables.
Next
Okay.
one would be like, "Huh."
Are they special vegetables of any kind? Maybe they've been injected. Maybe they've been juiced.
I
Juiced
believe
up
they're
juice.
organic, non-GMO, but who knows nowadays with the food distribution stuff. So speaking of weird things,
Yeah.
Death
I like weird
Stranding.
things.
Yeah.
Whoa.
The review embargo was up. So now
Yes.
there's reviews everywhere. Video reviews, written reviews across the board from everybody. And a lot of them, I haven't actually not seen a single one where they go into spoilers.
That's great.
Yeah.
Every single one that I've watched
I
so
think
far,
that's
they're
part of
like
the embargo,
no spoilers.
right? Is that they can
They
only
can
talk
have,
up to
yeah.
like chapter 3 as far
I
as
think-
story goes.
I
Mhm.
think the reality is that none of them actually know what they're playing, so they can't
No
spoil
one
it. So they're
knows
just like,
You
what's
can't spoil it if
I
you
still
don't know
don't
what's
know what's
happening.
going on.
Yeah, that I consider that too. I was like,
Embargo.
yeah, if no one's broken the embargo yet, and maybe they just don't know exactly.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we're gonna save you because we're nice and conscientious people. It's like, what are we actually doing in this game?
Yeah. What happened in that 40 hours that I played this?
Yeah. The hour count too is all over the place. Like I've watched a bunch of reviews and I've listened to some like pretty long form conversations via
Same.
podcasts. And like some people are claiming, you get it done in 35 hours. One guy I heard spent, I think it was 68 hours because he went really ham with like this road building kind of structure that's in the game.
Some
Interesting.
people are like 40, 60 hours. They're nowhere near done.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
It makes me
Yeah.
so excited because it's like it's a journey by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
If you don't like these type of games, you're especially gonna hate this style. But man, if you
Yeah.
like these style games, woo,
You're in for a treat.
yeah.
So
I'm
we
actually
actually
ready
know
for
what the
that.
gameplay is now, right? Like before,
Yeah.
we'd seen it. We've known for a long time what the gameplay is, but no one thought that was what the gameplay was.
Yeah.
So you're basically in a fractured America, and you're trying to connect America back together again to this network. And you're doing that by delivering super important packages, or maybe someone has to deliver food or clothes or the basic necessities to people, and that's what you are doing.
Yeah, and let me
This is
let
literally
me
the
just
plot of Kevin
underscore.
Costner's Postman.
I know, right? Let me just underscore something real quick. They say it's taken the events after the Death Stranding. So apparently the Death Stranding
Yes.
was this apocalyptic event that was kind of supernatural, and that's why you got these weird beings walking around, and that's why America's fractured, and they're trying to reconnect everybody to be a happy, harmonious society again, which
Yeah.
clearly
My favorite part about what I've heard so far is that the actual thing that happened that blew everything apart was that dead bodies, like these beings came, and if they connect to a dead body, then it causes like a mini nuclear explosion.
damn.
Okay.
So you got to
Yeah.
burn your dead like within 24 hours of them dying. Otherwise, like, we've seen those beings in the trailer. Like if they connect with a dead body, it blows up like
Yeah.
a nuclear explosion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I really like that. So Kojima's talked about it a little bit of what he was trying to do with this game. And he actually said, he's like, there's a lot of lonely people, especially gamers. Gamers are lonely. So it's a game that's about experiencing that you are alone in a very unforgiving place, and you're experiencing that loneliness. But then you never actually meet other players, but you see something that they've built. So you have that connection with other players, and you actually end up caring about them. You're like, oh, Tim left a ladder for me. Okay, I'm going to leave Tim a charging
Thank
thing.
you, Tim.
So
You're
it,
amazing.
it gives you this connection while also being completely alone, which is really intriguing to me.
Yeah.
One of the things that's like kind of cool as well. Like I watched this, or like I was watching a video today with like him talking about it as well. He was saying one of the things that he was trying to achieve with the game, which I think is kind of cool because he said like there's so many games out there that have got like graphic violence and always about like pitting it against people and stuff. And he's like everything in this game is just about helping people, like even down to the interaction with like people in the game. When you have this, you have like the ability to basically like or upvote something. There's no negative, so like nobody can dislike what you've done. It's purely about just like we want to like have a game that is about working together and doing cool stuff. And he's like, I don't think anyone could really object to that. And it's like it's actually kind of a nice change of pace. I'm actually quite excited, even though I'm like scared that maybe I won't necessarily have all the time that I need to play the game. I'm quite excited to have something that is a complete change of pace, and it's just going to be like a chill out on my sofa and just roam across the world and explore. Because you know, like sometimes when you play those games, right, and then like you're conflicted, right, because there might be like a massive open world, and you're like, well, I want to explore, but then the story is leading me this way. But if this game is about exploring, I'm actually quite. It's like an adventure, right?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
it's about delivering parcels to reconnect America, and also avoiding the big bad spookies.
Avoid and the game intentionally like kicks your ass, right? They make it frustrating in the beginning for you to get used to it and accustom yourself to this new way of exploring. Because when you're playing like Horizon Zero Dawn or any of those types of games, when you're going from point A to point B, you don't have to think about it. You just put your finger on the W or joystick forward and that's it. But this game
like
is
Red Dead
like
Redemption, you literally just hit the like auto run
you
feature
could auto
and your
run,
mark just like cinematically runs to the next place.
And this is the exact opposite. The destinations are not really the game. You get to know story from destinations, but the game is you getting to that destination.
Yeah, the planning aspect. Like you have to actually build a loadout for your journey to the next area. And there's pros and cons. Like you can overpack and be top heavy and constantly falling down on the landscape, or you can pack super light, but you don't have a lot of materials and choices to go with you on the landscapes. I think it's gonna be a game that I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy this game personally.
I have no idea if I'm gonna like it. I may hate this game, but I can't wait to play it.
I'm so excited. I'm really excited.
Because a lot of people do cite tedium in this game's review. You know, like they're like,
even the people
there's
who
really
enjoy
cool
it.
stuff here. Yeah, there's really cool stuff here, but there are long stretches where the game is intentionally tedious. And that could get to me, right? It's like I could eventually put it like 8 hours in and be like, you know what? I'm not willing to spend my time doing something intentionally tedious.
It opens up in 10 hours, Brian.
It opens up in 10 hours.
Oh yeah. See, I hate that. Like there's a lot of games like that where people will say,
I know.
You know, the first 6 hours are a little weak, but once you get past that, I'm like, well, you're asking me to be bored for 6 hours though. You know, like
I think it's like around the 10-hour mark where you get connected to their version of the internet, right? And you get more tools to attack the terrain differently. So then you're like, oh, I have all these new tools that I can use to get from point A to point B. And that's when it gets like really kicks in to be exciting because you're doing things in a different way.
Yeah, I do also wonder as well. I mean, you got to kind of sort of like think about from like a review point of view. Like there's obviously a lot of social interaction from this game, although you don't actually physically see people, like through the things they can do in the world. And you think about like the portion of people that are able to review it, that's a very, very small portion of people in the grand scheme of things. So I wonder whether it might be, say, like our first 10 hours might actually be quite different to theirs. If like, I don't know how soon that stuff kicks in, but imagine if like their first 10 hours is quite barren because there was nobody else really doing stuff in the world. Whereas we might be like, when suddenly millions of people are playing it, might be like, whoa, there's like Jimmy down the road just put a ladder there. Like, all right, cool. I'm going to, that can be.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah, because there's so much potential for a different playthrough. If you enjoy the traversing concept that Kojima has built for this, if you enjoy that aspect, subsequent playthroughs could be very different depending on what people have left. It's like you get a vehicle, you get, like you said, some crazy, like a crazy ladder bridge that shows up that looks super precarious, but you want to cross with that because somebody built it. Like there's a lot of social experiments in this game. I'm excited to see.
I like the fact that it's sort of like, I mean, on that topic, I remember seeing a tweet from someone. They were trying to drive a car across. I think it might have been Port Tassie actually. They were trying to drive a car across a canyon, but then it got caught. It got caught in the canyon. So obviously he got stuck, and he spent ages trying to get it out, and then couldn't get it out. But then it ended up forming a bridge for like loads of other players later on. So they were just able to cross the canyon by walking over the stuck car, which also coincidentally actually has the bridge's icon on the side of the car, so it's like a bridge, which is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But, like,
Oh,
that kind of
Kojima's
stuff-
all about that, right? Like the
Yeah.
dude's name is Bridges, and there's bridges, and you're connecting bridges, and people are connecting with bridges. Bridges.
How'd you like bridges? So I put bridges in your bridges.
Bridge baby.
But I think the most important thing for that though is like if the world is compelling, because I think to myself sort of about like two sort of like really noteworthy for me personally, like open world games. Like for me, Breath of the Wild, okay, I know I'm slightly biased, right? But Breath of the Wild was a really exciting world to me. So when it kind of came to exploring, I was always like wanting to go off the beaten path because the world was just super compelling.
Sure.
Versus for me personally, I know it's kind of a contentious thing, but I wasn't really sold on Red Dead Redemption. I found it quite a boring world. So I was never like, I only wanted to Golden Line it because I was like, I really can't be bothered to go and explore that forest because it looks the same as that forest, right?
Mhm.
So if he's built a really compelling world to the point where it doesn't, because I've only seen snippets, right? I've seen snowy areas, I've seen desert areas, I've seen sort of, you know, grassy areas. If it's like exciting where I think to myself, I want to go up that hill because that looks cool, then I think it's going to be interesting. If it is one of those ones where I spend 10 hours walking through like what appears to be rocky area number 57, then who knows?
True. Yeah.
One of the people that I watched or I listened to the podcast, Giant Bomb's podcast, and I think it was Dan Reichert was talking about how he couldn't stand the game, and he's a huge Kojima fan as far as like Metal Gear Solid goes. And one of his biggest complaints was that there was not enough variety. Like you get to a place and it looks exactly like the place you just left.
So I
Like,
think
that's
that's
not worrying.
specifically talking about the inside.
Right.
So the inside areas, like when you go from one place to another to deliver a package, when you get inside to actually deliver it, that looks exactly the same as the other place.
Yeah.
I like.
I do also wonder if there's going to be kind of like the art house, like it's cool to like this game effect, you know, like sometimes like a movie or a book will come out, and even if you don't get it, it's cool to say you got it, so you're one of the cool people. You know what I mean?
It
Like, I
almost
wonder if
seems like
that effect will happen.
it almost seems like it's the opposite with this game because everyone's been so excited for Kojima's next game. So it's almost like if you don't like it, and you're like, oh, this looks boring. I knew it was going to be bad. That's like the cool opinion
cool,
to have.
yeah, the cool.
Although having said that, there's to kind of like echo what you were sort of saying. There were a few reviews that I saw that almost did feel like they kind of almost felt. It's almost like their review was basically like, I don't like this game. It's not a good game, but it's a good game. Yeah, it was almost like they felt they had to say it because I mean there's so much writing on this, right? Obviously, like Kojima, like, you know, he's built his legacy, right? And obviously this is his first project, like going it alone. So obviously everyone doesn't want to be the person to say, Kojima, your game's a bit whack. So they're gonna be like, well, I'm still gonna say it's great. So maybe there is that element to it. But yeah.
But it seems like the goal wasn't to make a standard video game. It was to make an experience that has video game elements in it. And if you like, I watched Skillup's review, and it seems like the systems are really deep with this game for just backpacking across America in a post-apocalyptic supernatural world.
It's also a JRPG, even though like everything is in English. It's made by a Japanese person,
and that's
Japanese studio.
Well, that's why the game doesn't really open up until 10 hours in. It's like, congrats, you completed the tutorial after 10 hours. Now you get to really play Death Stranding. You know, it's like,
how much of that first 10 hours is just watching cutscenes?
Yeah, good
9.5.
I don't know. I know there are a lot of cutscenes, and some are very long, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's got tons of huge actors in this game. Like,
it's insane.
It's a Hollywood movie practically with the actor lineup in it.
I really like that it's got this kind of connection too of Kojima kind of losing everything and then him being able to rebuild based on the connections he made in the industry, like using the Horizon Zero Dawn engine and all the people that are in it. It feels like it's all connected, right? Like what you're doing in the game to connect to other people, to then connect to real humans, to connect America back together. And this is Kojima telling the story of how his connections enabled him to make a game and make a studio.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. And you know what would be really awesome that I thought about last night? If you're streaming Death Stranding and someone in your chat happens to be on the same server as you, and they see your bridge or your ladder and they're like, oh, hey, or maybe they're not in your chat right now, but then they see your name on something and they come into chat and they're like, I saw your ladder. It was great. So I'm really excited for that too. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wanted to spend more time like doing loads of cool things in the world just to like help people. I'm like, maybe we're a game that I never actually finished, right? I just spent we'll come back next week and be like, hey, who's finished Death Stranding? I'm like, well, I built like 500 bridges for people. They've all been upvoted, but I've still only played 1% of the story.
Yeah.
See, what do you guys think about the way that they've allowed reviews to come out for this? It's like this kind of tiered system where you can talk about the game, but you can only talk about the first 3 chapters of the game in your review. You can't talk about any of the spoilers. You know, earlier you could show like 15 or 20 minutes of the game. Like,
I think it
does
makes
that show
sense.
a lack of confidence on Sony's side?
No, I think it makes sense for this type of game because, like we said, it's an experience, it's story, and with those types of games, learning about the systems and the general gameplay is, fine for me. But I wouldn't want to see anything to do with story or cutscenes or even further on gameplay.
If the game changes in a big way in, let's say, Chapter 5, don't you kind of want to know that?
It does, and we do know that. Yeah. Because it changed to more Metal Geary.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, I can see what you mean though. Like, it's definitely like it's a hard balance. I suppose on one side it shows sort of like the confidence from them because if they're allowing reviews to go out that much earlier, they're obviously confident that people are going to like that. But it is, I think if they are going to go out that early, they do have to kind of have that caveat because obviously nobody wants those spoilers. I think it's almost. I mean, I generally, even though like I'll kind of make my own mind up on games anyway, but like a lot of the time people tend to get more worried if the review embargo is the day before launch because then they think you're holding something else.
Yeah.
The fact that like, hey, this is a week before, and I mean this game hit gold a few weeks ago, like actually quite a while ago, right? So so they've obviously been sitting on like a complete product for quite some time. So I think they're definitely confident, and Kojima's doing his whole world tour and everything. So they are probably kind of quietly confident, but I think he wants to maintain that mystery. But I mean, it's like also in that documentary I was watching today, the one that the BBC did. It was actually a really good one. It's sort of like they had like behind closed doors access to the day that they went gold, and they were sort of showing the process like behind, especially when he was putting together the launch trailer and the teaser trailer. That one had a very different tone because he was mindful that nobody knew what the game was. So they were kind of sort of trying to peel back the curtain. So I think basically the idea behind the review cycle this time was just to kind of give people enough so that they could see the game and see like it is actually something you can play and enjoy. But then know that everyone can jump into it and still have their experience.
Yeah. The reviews have been really across the board. Like IGN gave 8. I just saw a bunch of them come through. Game Informer gave it a 70. Destructoid gave it an 80. Like they're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
They are, and that's why it's been really interesting listening to podcasts. Like I listened to the Kind of Funny podcast that they do, the Gamescast, which Fran was on, and that was just
Fran
across.
Who? Fran? What? Fran?
Frankie 2 times.
Frankie
2 times.
And it was just everyone was completely different. One person is like, I played for 5 hours and I didn't want to play anymore. One person's like, I played 40 but I didn't enjoy it. Other person, I love it. I love every second of it. So it's even just, that's why it's been super interesting listening to a podcast with more people on it where they've all been reviewing it, because you get to hear so many different opinions even within a simple.
So I think that's what excites me the most about this game is that, like, just like you said, you're not going to have the ability to just hold forward and run past the landscape to get to the next topical point in the game. The game is figuring out how you're going to traverse the landscape, and I think, like, to me, it scratches something very interesting of this explorer / there's you can't take everything, so you got to pick and choose what your loadout's going to be. And in real life, you're not going to go everywhere you see immediately. You're going to have to pick your path. And I think that's what he wanted to have instilled in this, along with the crazy story, obviously.
I've heard apparently as well. I haven't actually obviously seen the gameplay of it, but I've heard apparently from one of the reviews that you can actually make grenades by pooping.
Yes.
Wow.
And peeing and your blood. Yes.
Ah, there we go.
Sold.
The BTs are vulnerable to your body things.
To bodily fluid.
Yes.
Hence
and
the P
solid.
button.
Yeah. Hence why you can pee. It all makes sense.
I see.
Hold on, I got to reload my bladder.
Pretty crappy enemies then, eh?
Oh my god.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about it. It comes out next week. Oh no, this week. Sorry,
Yeah.
Friday. Comes out Friday.
Friday.
the
Comes out
8th.
Friday. Does anyone know what time it comes out? Does it have a midnight launch or a
I'm assuming on PlayStation it's
World
going to be a
launch?
midnight launch.
Yeah.
Right? Rolling midnights.
rolling midnights? Oh,
Yeah.
but I want to play it earlier. I'm
I
gonna
know.
have to load up the old New Zealand account.
That's great.
And Eric's met Kojima, which is nuts.
did.
That's
It was
cool.
crazy. It was awesome. It was only brief. Kojima and Shinkawa as well, which was awesome. But
Yes.
we went to this kind of like small experience. So we got the photo with him, and then went into this weird Death Stranding like white room with like the babies and the pods and stuff. And then they rushed us through to like this other military room, and then suddenly like while watching a cinema thing, like a load of like skeleton soldiers came in. I was like, okay, and then they shuffled us into their shop to buy incredibly expensive Kojima merchandise.
Wow.
It was like, hey, come buy our game now. Enjoy this. Please spend money. So, yeah, it was great though. It was good. He's a cool guy. Kojima's taller than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
tall.
He is. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that was cool.
Wow. That's awesome.
Well, I'm gonna load up on Monster Energy. Get ready for some walking.
Do it.
Yeah.
For some
It's time
thrilling
to
walks.
That's how I'm gonna intro the stream. So I'm like, guys, it's time to walk.
Yeah.
Time to walk.
Get your
Go.
walking
Imagine if you
boots.
could-
Going.
Time to
Imagine
watch
if you could sync
cutscenes
up
and
your
walk.
Your Apple Watch.
Yeah. Track it
Sync
with
your
your
Apple
Apple
Watch
Watch.
to your play. Yeah, exactly right. Like I've closed all my rings 5 times today.
Yeah, I was
Easy.
walking real far.
Yeah.
That's great. Should we move on to the Blizzard news?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
There were announcements. Oh
Lots.
well,
And apologies, kind of.
there was a statement.
Let's talk about that
Statement that he
first.
read off a card.
Right?
You want to talk about the apology first?
Yeah, because it'll be fun to talk about the
Yeah.
games, but obviously Blizzard is in the doghouse right now. You know what I'm saying?
Sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that apology. It was the CEO of Blizzard came out on stage, right? Was he CEO?
Something
Uh,
like that,
so.
right? One of the chiefs, at least. You looking it up right now,
Yeah,
Brian?
I'm looking for his name right now.
The exact words would be cool too. All I know is that he did not mention the people by name. He didn't mention what happened.
Yeah, he
It's
didn't
basically
really
blanket,
mention
I'm sorry
anything.
for stuff.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry for
Yeah.
a thing that happened and
I'm sorry we got caught.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
I'm sorry you're upset. So I'm saying I'm sorry because you're
Yeah.
upset, and I'm sorry you're upset.
I'm so sorry that you're upset about the actions I took, but really that's on you.
Swiftly followed by now check out some games that we're not going to give you dates for, but please look at these games to like,
Yeah.
forget
Yeah.
about what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to me, like they did announce Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. And Diablo, I'm a huge Diablo fan. I really
Same.
enjoy
Yeah.
Diablo games.
Yeah.
And that really put the kibosh on the excitement for Diablo for me. Is like Blizzard used to be one of those companies where they put a game out and I know I'm buying it. Like I don't have to watch trailers. I don't have to watch, I don't have to read reviews. I just know I'm buying it because they had a history of quality and they had a history of just compelling gameplay that they've really strayed away from, I think, over the last few years.
Well,
Mhm.
it was the 3 Bs. In 2012, Bethesda, BioWare, Blizzard.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, how far
2019.
we've come.
And the
2019.
heroes. They were the
Whoa.
heroes of the game industry, right? Like
Yeah.
these are companies that are so highly regarded.
They were, everything they touched, gold.
Yeah.
Yep.
The gold
Yep.
standard of
Yeah.
everything. And now it's like, what happened? What alternate universe are we living in?
Yeah, I mean, even Diablo 3 released in such a state that I felt really kind of tarnished their name.
Mhm.
They had eventually got that game in very good shape, I would say.
They-
Especially,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody played the PlayStation version.
Yeah.
But
I
it
played
was
the Switch.
outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay,
love the console
Which
version. It's great.
too.
Yeah.
But like with everything that the whole Blitzchung kind of controversy, right? And what their response to it, and then their lack of response on the stage, to me, it just it just leaves this real sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And like I don't feel good about giving them my money.
Yeah.
And
It's very conflicting.
yeah.
It's so the biggest thing for me is like, so people were saying, well, they're not gonna go back on their decision because it's against the contract. So let's just say it's in the contract. You can't talk politics, and everyone will get disciplined no matter what with that, right? Okay, fine. But this apology didn't mention anyone by name, didn't mention what happened. It didn't mention why people were upset. It felt like it was, well, we don't really understand why people are upset, but let's just go apologize because people are upset. Just go out there, acknowledge that a thing happened, and say you're sorry.
Yeah.
So it's
Damage
how can
control.
you really, how can you say that this person understands exactly why everyone's upset and is going to do better in the future when they won't even mention what it is that they're talking about?
Yeah.
It's almost like he was afraid, like similarly, or someone high up is like on stage here. You also can't mention these names, so just say sorry. I hope they accept this.
It tells me even more that they are very aware of what the issue is and are even more so leaning towards, well, we can't upset Papa China.
Well, I mean, if their motivation is making money, and there's more money on the table in China than there is in the Western world, then
that's where they're gonna go.
Tough luck.
Yeah.
Like, we're sorry you're upset, but they're more important to us than you are. So eat it.
And that's the apology. Well done, Blizzard.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Great apology, Blizzard. Yeah. Sticking with your morals.
And it's tough because, as I sort of said before, it's like, because as we were sort of discussing, like when we last mentioned this, obviously when it first happened, it's tough because us as consumers, the only way we can really vote is with our wallet, right? But it's the difficulty, as I was saying before, because like I hate the way the structure is, right? Because obviously it's the suits that make the decision, right? The developers that work countless hours, crunch, and probably work into the night, working their heart and soul out of it, and like they're the ones that will suffer because ultimately, if the consumer's like, all right, we're not going to do it, and then suddenly like Diablo 4 doesn't sell or like Overwatch 2 doesn't sell, all that's going to happen is those suits that made those shitty decisions will be like, oh yeah, let's just lay off all these developers because clearly the game wasn't really popular, and then they're going to suffer, and they're still going to be sitting there in their mansions with their private jets and be like, well, we're completely fine. And so it's really annoying because, I mean, much like Brian was saying, like I'm a huge Diablo fan as well. I've been playing Diablo since number 1. So when I saw it initially, the gameplay, I'm like, I'm excited, like, irrespective of that, I'm excited for the game because like it looks really cool. The fact that we're kind of going in the MMO direction, they've got some like really cool stuff there. Like I want to be excited for it. And and obviously for the developers that work tirelessly on it, I want to support them. But it's sort of like, we can't circumvent that. Like if I could just say I'm going to put the money just to the developers, that'd be great. But it's a difficult position to be in, really.
Developer.
Yeah, just like be like, just like put a back channel in, like, and just like slide the money into like specifically into you who is making Diablo, and then not the suits.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, it's a conundrum, that's for sure. Because I'm same boat, huge Diablo fan, and it looks like an amazing path that they've taken with Diablo 4. For me, first guy, I like what they've shown, so it makes me super conflicted, honestly.
Yeah, but that game also isn't coming out for years, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they said they don't know when Diablo is coming out, and when they asked about Overwatch 2, they're like, "Do you know when it's coming out?" They're like, "No idea." So,
that's the thing as well. I mean, it was really cool to see it, and that's almost why, like, hopefully by the time it comes to actually eventually coming out, that we might be in a better position, so we can then like actually want to support the game, because it was definitely that sort of like jerk reaction thing where it's like, it's if you think about it, say sometimes when you have like E3 announcements and like a company's like, oh, we don't have too much to show, we've got to quickly announce like a load of just like games with CG trailers, and there's like 0 release date, they just need to like pad something. It's clearly like, how can we take the heat off of us? I know, let's announce exactly what people want, even if it's like 2 or 3 years in the future. Like, they're going to be talking about Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 over the next like 2, maybe 3 BlizzCons. They could be that long, right? But they're just like, well, as long as the announcement's out, hopefully people will forget. And it's like, if it had been more like Diablo 4 coming Q4 2020, I'd be like, okay, there's actually reason to announce it now. But if it's literally just, we're going to show you some pretty graphics, please enjoy.
Yeah.
That's even more so kind of just showing exactly what their motive was for that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, because notice how they didn't mention anything about. I mean, I don't know. I haven't followed it. I don't know whether the project was canned or whether they just put it on hold. But notice how there was 0 mention of Diablo Immortal, which was supposed to be the stopgap between that and Diablo 4. I personally, I know, like people were outraged last year, but I personally still thought it looked quite cool for a mobile game, and I would have checked it out. I don't know whether they've completely canned it or they've just decided we're already in enough trouble. Let's not mention anything that people don't want.
Yeah, that could be one of those games that just kind of pops up out of nowhere with no, like they just stopped talking about it, but they're still developing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's definitely sort of like they probably thought to themselves, we can't risk like talking more about a mobile game which people hate while they also hate us. So let's only talk about what they like. It's like, you know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of what they like or what we like, should we talk about Diablo 4? Some details on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they are
moving.
They're moving it to a pseudo MMO-ish type of feel where it's going to be an online persistent universe. The worlds are going to be bigger, I believe. Lots of randomized dungeons and all that. And they didn't say how many users or how many other people you'd see in an instance, right?
No, I think they said that it will scale depending on areas, because the one thing that we have seen in the gameplay, which looks really cool, is there's one section of gameplay where there's like a world boss.
Yes.
And then that one I think I saw at least 8 players on screen, which was really cool. Wow. I mean, like, it could go even more, but that kind of sort of gave me almost, I mean, on a much smaller scale, those almost like Lost Ark vibes, because like seeing that and seeing all the players just rushing and the barbarians just jumping in was like, yo, that's really cool.
The thought of playing Diablo and then going to an open world area and seeing a giant boss and there's 7 other players just randomly taking down a huge boss, that sounds incredible to me.
It does, yeah.
I do hope though that the game is still playable on a single player level.
Well, they said no.
That's always how I would avoid Blizzard. No offline. So are you going to be able to play it? Like, so you're always going to be in a shared world.
Yeah, I don't think they've mentioned whether or not you can like close off your instance. It's possible, but
yeah.
Because I imagine that's one of those games where I always like to chill out, kind of by myself. Like I like playing with people, but sometimes I don't want to play with people. Sometimes I just want to have some Briar time, you know?
Briar
time with Mikey's ladder.
I reckon they probably will like have some kind of private sort of instancy sort of thing if you want that experience. But I mean, obviously they're not kind of chatting specifics right now. But I do quite like it definitely. There were a few things that I saw in that trailer where, and I mean, you know, they're probably not the only ones that have done it, but there were definitely a few things I saw in that trailer where I was like, it looks like they've taken a few keys from Lost Ark right now, because like there's that for me, having seen the gameplay, like it looks fantastic. I really like sort of the direction they're going. I saw some of the gameplay of the specific classes and the skill trees and stuff. Looks really cool. But for me, Lost Ark is still the pinnacle of like isometric ARPG combat. Like nothing can top that for me at the moment. So even when I look at like Diablo 4, I was like, looks cool. Still isn't Lost Ark, but it's cool.
Interesting. I never played Lost Ark.
No.
Oh, honestly, I really hope it comes out in the West. Like that is it's entering Russian closed beta at the moment, which at least is easier to play, because then you just have to play it through like a VPN, but you're actually allowed to do it. Whereas like the Korean one, it was just like you shouldn't be doing this sort of thing. But yeah, it's honestly, because the thing that I loved about Lost Ark, and it's a slight deviation from the Diablo thing, but like it's almost like a best hits of like your favorite video games. Like it's got the isometric combat stuff, so obviously you got the Diablo style combat, but it is an MMO, so it's got the massive open world.
Interesting.
World bosses in that, I'm talking like large scale. There will be points where the screen is full of about 30 people, all spamming abilities. This huge world boss that we're fighting for literally 20 minutes solid. Like the health bar is just chunking down and down and down. So like you've got that. It's got, then when you get to like end game stuff, you've got monster hunter missions called Guardian missions, where you actually go out and hunt a single monster, like a large monster thing. Wow. You've got raids, you've got cinematic dungeons where there's physical like camera movement and like cinematic sequences in dungeons.
Nice.
You've got crafting.
This is a full-blown MMO though, right? Full-blown MMO.
Yeah, full-blown MMO. But it's specifically like ARPG isometric style combat camera. But it's full MMO. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Diablo is saying that they're a MMO-ish, like the MMO light type of thing. That what they're saying with the Diablo 4, because it's always going to be online, and there's going to be bigger worlds that are more persistent in those world bosses. But I don't think. See, they already have a successful MMO, so they don't want like World of Warcraft and then Diablo 4 MMO chasing. You know, like there's got to be differences there. Also, another big thing is that they brought back that darker tone with Diablo 2 and all that. With this, it's if you play Path of Exile, you get a lot of hints of like that too. It's got this darker-ish type of feel. They announced 3 characters too. I feel like I'm going to butcher this, but I think it was the Druid, the Paladin, and the Sorceress. Is that correct?
Barbarian, Druid, and the Sorceress. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yes, no Paladin. My bad. Yeah. So they did announce 3 officially for that, and I actually don't know much details beyond that.
Yeah, they showed like a new sort of like branching skill tree system where like, you know, you sort of, instead of the old system, I think, where you spent like different columns and stuff, like this one, like you start specking your points down, then the tree opens up in different ways, which are kind of cool.
Okay.
Obviously there's like some updated UI changes. I actually quite like the left aligned UI. It kind of clears out the central place.
I like that too. Yeah.
They've got mounts in as well now for like moving around. So obviously like you can kind of run on like move on horseback and stuff, which are quite cool.
Yeah, because because it's big enough now to support mounts.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Honestly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of sort of it. But that cinematic trailer was really cool as well. I mean, they always do really good with their cinematic trailers, but like, oof, that was crazy.
What do you think? 2021, 2022, 2025?
I mean, I'm hoping. I hope 2021. Because I just don't want to have to wait that long for it. But I also hope long enough so that then Blizzard can actually correct their wrongs, so we can actually want to be excited for the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Because or if anything, just hurry up and release Lost Ark in the West, and then we don't even need Diablo 4.
There you go. Play that.
And then we can be happy and support that, right? And then everyone will be happy. Great.
Or you can just keep playing Path of Exile.
Path of Exile has been killing it.
Yeah, they have been killing it.
Yeah. See, Path of Exile is the one that I haven't played before, and everyone always, because I love those kind of games, and it's one game that everyone's always like, you need to play Path of Exile. The only one thing that I can't get on with that is that, and one of the reasons I love Lost Ark so much, like, no, I would kind of sound like a Lost Ark fanboy, right? But like, even though I'm playing on like mouse and keyboard, you feel the weight to like Lost Ark combat. You feel like the hit lag and stuff. Like when you really hit, you like all those impacts feel epic, right? When I watch someone playing like Path of Exile running through it, and you cut through things like paper, and there's like you're literally just like blitzing through things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool from like a fun run, but like I just love that sort of meaty, like impactful gameplay. And Path of Exile just looked a little bit too just like, I don't know. It didn't excite me as much.
Yeah, that's one of the things I hope that Diablo 4 has, is more, I don't know, less point and click and more that visceral feel of the combat. I know it's tough to do.
That's why I like the controller support on the PlayStation version of Diablo 3 so much. It just I felt more connected to my character.
Yeah.
That was really good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked moving around. Like I actually prefer the console version over the PC version.
I do too. I wish they would add controller support to the PC version.
That'd be nice, yeah, because they like get the wider screen and all that. Yeah. So yeah, Diablo 4. Who knows when it's going to come out? And Blizzard sucks.
Yep.
Well put.
Right.
Good sum up.
Yeah.
Good summary.
The other thing.
Exactly.
The other thing that they announced was Overwatch 2, which I still don't really understand what this is.
That's almost more confusing than Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. They were like, Overwatch 2, they have this PvE thing that they're adding, right? So it's like new abilities, new skill trees for the characters of Overwatch, but they're going to be a little bit different in PvE, and you can level them up and stuff. But if you have Overwatch 1, you're going to get all of the new characters, the new maps, the new game mode. The only thing you're not getting is the PvE and the updated engine.
Okay.
Updated characters.
Yeah. Oh, actually, here we go. There's
an infograph.
Yeah, there's an infograph. Yeah, so if you have Overwatch, like as you mentioned, you get the 4 new maps, you get the new push mode, you get the new heroes, and you get the updated engine and the look of the UI. But if you have Overwatch 2, you get the story mode, the hero missions, and also the new hero talents. So that's
if you buy Overwatch 2, do all the microtransactions you bought transfer
they do.
over? Yes.
They do.
Yeah. Which is super important, because if they hadn't, like, that would have been outrage.
So it looks like it's just Overwatch PvE then, really. Like if you're only there for PvP as all you care about, you're never gonna play PvE, then there's no point in buying it. Right?
Yeah.
I was always interested in seeing what an Overwatch PvE experience could be. Yeah. Because I like the world that they built. And I really like the characters. And whenever they came out with those new kind of cutscene things that they would post, I've enjoyed almost every one that I saw. Eventually I did kind of get bored with Overwatch in general, so I stopped watching them. But it was a cool world and filled with cool characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only question really is, how much are they trying to sell it for? And how deep is the PvE? Because that's the only reason you'd be buying it, really.
Yeah. And really, Overwatch, in my opinion, they almost pioneered the loot box kind of revolution that kind of swept through video games. And I kind of hold a grudge about that because they really popularized that in a big way. And it seems like everybody latched when they saw how much money Overwatch was making from the loot boxes. You know, like the whole industry really latched onto that, and it became, you know, an obsession. Or
I kind of feel like CS:GO was the main catalyst.
Yeah,
but it was just on PC, and then Overwatch was on console and PC.
Maybe.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it's a weird one for me because I'm definitely interested in the Overwatch world and what PvE looks like. That's more than just one event that shows up for Halloween. If there's like things you can do for your characters to build skill trees and things and XP that you're gonna spec into things, like that sounds enticing for sure, but confusing with the whole you stick to Overwatch 1, you get all the characters, and like
it does seem like a really weird thing just to like title it Overwatch 2. Like I feel like when you put a number on something, it needs to be like a big new game, right? It's almost like if you're gonna call it Overwatch 2, it's like everybody needs to move. But they're like, well, it's Overwatch 2. But if you don't like the PvE, just still play Overwatch 1. It's like, then surely it's just call it like give it like a name title, like Overwatch The Hero Returns, or I don't know, something like that.
Shadows of
like
the Fallen.
2,
be like, oh, it's
they have hero missions, right? So just call it like Overwatch Heroes or something. Like something that's just, this is a PvE add-on to our game, basically.
Yeah,
because that's what it sounds like.
Makes you think like, it makes you think like completely new maps, completely new heroes, completely new everything. Like, it's like, no, it's actually like a 1.5. So
yeah, that's the impression I get. And I'm kind of like, Blizzard, what are you doing? This naming scheme.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
I came away like, I'm confused.
Do you get the impression that maybe they rushed it? And well, I mean, obviously they rushed a lot of this stuff because of what's been happening. But do you get the impression that the name was rushed and they couldn't decide in a conference style and nobody could agree on a name? So like, fine, Overwatch 2. That's what.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly what it was.
Maybe, yeah. It almost feels
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. It almost seems like them again trying to sort of like overhype again, like this BlizzCon, right? It's like they're almost scared going into BlizzCon because they're like, we're in the shit right now. So I know we'll announce Diablo 4 with no date. We'll make Overwatch 2 sound even bigger than it is by calling it Overwatch 2.
Yes.
We'll drop a massive, crazy World of Warcraft cinematic where like Sylvanas rips apart the Lich King. Hey, this is they'll be like someone at the flipping meeting board is like, I've got a brilliant idea. These guys, they'll completely forget about China after this. Trust me. It's like, no, mate. we see through what you're doing.
Yeah. I'd say it's tough if you're a huge Blizzard fan, if you're a huge Overwatch fan, all the stuff that's been going on. That's a tough position.
Or even if like, people that like cover that stuff, like Overwatch channels and stuff, like that's got to be like rough. It's like, you know, like if that's your bread and butter, and obviously you still like you built communities around it, you want to continue to support it, but you're just like, now I feel kind of
scummy.
Yeah.
At least you won't be banned in China like PewDiePie. So
nice.
Fair.
I'd be proud of that. I'd make T-shirts up that say "Banned in China."
Certified banned in China. It's great.
Oh, they also mentioned, I forgot about that Blizzard's gonna do their own auto chess kind of thing they're getting into. So they're gonna be doing auto chess, and obviously they're adding more stuff to Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm. But they're trying to just cover like everything that they can.
Why did I think that they had kind of abandoned Heroes of the Storm? Am I just making that up?
Because no one plays it.
Is that why? I don't think I've ever seen Heroes of the Storm gameplay ever.
It looks like a pretty version of Dota or League of Legends.
League is prettier in my opinion than Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm just seemed like a really watered down MOBA.
Yeah,
I played
That's
it
probably why I liked it, because I did play it for a while, and I was like, "Oh, I can understand this."
You don't need a degree.
I played it once when I had to.
It's like a MOBA for dummies.
I had to play it once just to get the Genji like Oni skin, so I had to do like 20 matches or something. I was like, darn this game, I just want my skin. But yeah.
Well, is that the Blizzard news?
Yeah,
I think so.
Nice.
I did see that Darth in chat was interested in hearing about the Avengers game because he watched your video, Eric's, and it completely changed his view on the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I was very interested.
Yeah, this is finally they put out the gameplay that they've been showing behind closed doors, stuff that I've been seeing for ages, that I've been talking about, but understandably, nobody still had seen it. Therefore, they were just like, this game still looks rubbish, which is completely fine because from the tutorial mission, it paints a completely different picture, right? You see these two videos side by side, you might as well think they're two very different video games, right? They've got the bridge mission that looks like linear cinematic, and then you've got this thing that basically looks like a Destiny Marvel game, and you're like, oh, okay. Because like this gameplay video shows like the loot system. You've got like a UI system that looks quite like Destiny. They've got the little player card, you've got your power level, you've got your progress, you've got gear pieces for like, helmets and chest slots and armor slots. You've got different rarities, you've got perks you can unlock for these things. There's actually really cool like in-gear progression. So there's some stuff where, like normally you have, say, you get a piece of gear, you play, and then you get another piece of gear, right? You still do that in this game, but also within a piece of gear, you can then unlock additional perks. So you can go out and farm materials to like upgrade your legendary Iron Man blaster to then unlock new perks for that. So there's a lot of like progression within that. You obviously then have all the skill trees. There's skill trees tied to like all your different abilities, and you can augment how they perform. So you're not just going to have like your three typical like Iron Man chest laser beam, Iron Man rockets. You can change it to be like lasers out your hands, lasers in different ways. There's a lot of kind of options to tweak things. And this is all the stuff that they've just shown for now. They said there's like a lot of stuff they still haven't shown, like, co-op abilities and like passives and stuff like that. But there's like suddenly when they showed this video, a lot of people like, I tried to sort of explain this stuff before, but because I was only ever able to speak over just like the box standard B-roll gameplay, people are still like, I can hear you, but I don't really see it. And then suddenly some people saw it and they're like, oh, there's actually more to this game than I thought. And it's, like I think it is still at the moment kind of a hard sell. And I completely get that from a lot of people because it wasn't introduced in the best way, and a lot of what they've still shown is still very, very short snippets, so people still can't quite get the whole experience. So I completely get that some people are like, this still looks a bit weird, and I think a lot of people as well, when you can only look at stuff and you can't play that stuff, they still can't quite see past the character models. Like the character models, I get they still look a little bit weird if you're used to like the MCU. I've got to the point, because I've played the build so many times now, the character models don't even faze me anymore. I'm just kind of like, yeah, cool. They might not be the best character models for those characters, but I've kind of, especially when you spend half the time playing behind them, you don't even see their faces, right? So that stuff has gone, like, I've gone past being bothered about that now. But it's definitely one of those things that I think for a lot of people, when you finally get the chance to go hands-on with it, it completely changes your feel. Like I was trying to make a reference before in like a video and sort of saying, it's kind of like you get those sort of Spider-Man combat vibes, maybe not quite as refined as Spider-Man, but you kind of got that sort of feel. And someone was like, I'm outraged that you would compare it to Spider-Man. I'm like, but have you played it? Like, well, no. It's like, well I'm trying to give you something you can relate to. Like, I'm not saying it's better than Spider-Man. I'm just saying that's probably the closest
thing. How dare you?
I know, right? How dare you compare this game? This is unacceptable. But yeah, so that's that's kind of sort of where it's at. But I definitely think for a lot of people that I've spoken to, when they've played it, they've come away and be like, oh, this is actually fun to play. It's actually interesting. And I'm actually, so I do think
everything that you just described makes me go, yes, I would like to play that.
I think for all of us, like given the kind of games that we play, I think we would all honestly get a lot out of that. And like really, I mean, I'm saying that I'm hoping that obviously it has the longevity and the depth. I mean, I'm saying that based on what I've seen right now, there's obviously a chance they could pull an Anthem where there's like the framework for it, but then it might actually be super shallow. But by the sounds of it, they've got it sounds like there's lots and lots of missions for it. You obviously got so the story is split up as well into hero missions, which are like your solo things, and that's the thing you have to do on your own, and that kind of advances the story. And you then have Warzone missions, which is the stuff you can do co-op, and you have this huge map, this kind of like you're inside your aircraft carrier, and then you start off like in a region, so you'll be like in North America, then you can zoom out and you can see the world, and you can do missions all over the world. And as you play through, you unlock more and more of them. So it sounds like there's a lot of Warzone missions, and that's where all the co-op stuff's going to come through. That's where you farm your gear, you farm your loot and stuff, and then the character progression carries throughout the whole game. So it sounds like there's a lot of stuff to do, and obviously they'll be continually updating it. And they've said that all like the new story stuff, the new missions, the new areas, that will all be free. So you'll be able to continue this journey.
Cool.
I do think it's important to go into it with the right expectation. I don't see this being a game like Destiny or like what Anthem wanted to be or anything like that. I don't see it be like a game where you will play it all day, every day for the whole thing. I think you'll play through the campaign, and I think more so like in a kind of Monster Hunter vibe where like you get to the end of it and you'll be like, all right, cool. Now I'll check in every few weeks when they add some new content. So I feel like it'll definitely have legs to play for quite a while, but I don't think we should go into it expecting it to be the new looter shooter, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's I'm personally still super excited for it. A lot of people are still thinking I'm crazy for even liking it. But I'm like, I'm going to hold it because when they finally play it next year and they'll be like, okay, maybe you were right. Then I mean, hopefully.
Has there been any announced dates yet for when it's going to come out? Or is it still
May,
TBD?
I think May is the window there.
Is it?
Yeah. I think it's May 20th,
right
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of being Iron Man and getting a legendary blaster sounds very exciting to me.
Yeah.
And unlocking perks
Lasers
for it?
from the hands is fun.
Yes. Like
Yeah.
I don't need a game that I'm going to invest thousands of hours into for that. Just the fact that has that progression for like maybe a 40, 50 hour type of experience, that'd be amazing, honestly.
Have any of you ever played Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Ultimate Alliance?
I didn't know.
So it almost feels like a more refined version of that. Because like Ultimate Alliance has always been fun, but it's been a little bit like it's kind of like a mobile game to a degree.
Yeah,
it's like just like an actual AAA version of, or at least it's shaping up to be like a AAA version of Ultimate Alliance, and that's a hell of a lot of fun. Cool for what is effectively a janky game. So if they can make a good version of that, I mean, I'm on board. So
yes,
May 15th as well, by the way.
May 15th. Mark the calendars.
There you go.
Looting Marvel World. Oh my god. Awesome.
Yeah.
You know what a game's coming up that I think a lot of Tefty fans are excited about?
A certain Planet Zoo.
Planet Zoo.
Whoa.
Planet Zoo's tomorrow. I can't wait.
Tomorrow?
It is.
Are you streaming it?
Absolutely, of course. It's the same same makers as Planet Coaster, and they are making Planet Zoo. So clearly, you make a zoo.
I'm putting an appointment in my calendar.
I know it's the stream of the century. We've been waiting forever.
I'm legit excited about that. Obviously, Red Dead 2 on PC comes out tomorrow as well, but Planet Zoo is happening.
That comes out tomorrow?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
November 5th.
Does,
Oh wow.
4K.
I'm gonna download that and give it a shot on PC because I'm wondering if it's gonna fix some of the problems I had with that game.
Oh,
yeah,
the janky controls.
Yeah.
And
the frame rate.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to see the guy stuck in the bear trap in 4K. It's gonna be great. Like you again? I swear I rescued you last time.
It's just like one of the biggest problems I had with that game though was that like the contextual buttons were like crazy. Like it was if you dropped your hat on the ground, it could be 3 different buttons to pick it up depending on the situation you were in. You know what I mean? Like it could be the X button, it could be the circle button, it could be the Y button. It depended on what situation you were in. And like sometimes you'd walk up to your horse thinking you were getting on the horse and you'd accidentally shoot it because it was the same button.
You punch the horse by accident.
Like it's like that kind of stuff.
That's what made the game kind of awesome to stream or make videos on, because you're constantly pressing the wrong button.
Always shooting a certain vendor that you're trying to sell foxtails to.
He's gone forever. He's gone.
Yep. Like, no, I didn't mean to hold you up. I'm sorry. No. I just want to fight.
No, at least I still gave him the fox pelt. So
you just dropped it on his dead body. That's not giving anybody anything.
Change.
You just covered your hide.
It might have been more disrespectful.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah, I'd like to play through it again, but I mean, where's the hours?
Zoo, and then you got Death Stranding.
Planet Zoo, Death Stranding this week. That's gonna be. I mean, Death Stranding is a minimum 40 hours if you beeline through the story. So,
I said today on stream, I was like, Death Stranding may just be a game that is like Destiny here, where we play it all the time.
Forever.
For maybe the rest of our lives.
Forever.
Until we're finally done. It's going to be Destiny.
Until I've laid a bridge
Death Stranding.
across every single gap in the world. We're not.
Covered all gaps in the landscape.
We must help all gamers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
The Stranding came for Eric's.
Yeah.
he's been caught in the Stranding.
My camera. There we go.
Well, is that the show this week?
I think so.
I believe
Maybe.
so.
That's the episode. Yeah,
Maybe so.
SideQuest
Mm.
complete.
Bring.
Did we build a bridge?
Complete.
Did we build a
Bridges.
ladder?
All right. Well,
Did I deliver a package?
Next week we'll
of
have bridges to
monster?
talk about.
yeah.
Yeah,
right.
next week. Oh, we're gonna have everyone's kind of little review of what they've played so far.
Yeah.
We should have a
Death
competition
Stranding.
ahead of next week, right? Because you can do something and create it in the world, and people can vote for it. We should have a competition to see
Who
who can
gets the most
create
likes.
something that gets the most upvotes.
I like it. I like it.
Let's
I
do
like
it.
it.
Oh,
I'm
no.
gonna create a penis-shaped bridge, and I'm gonna win.
Yeah, of course you
Fair
like it. Oh
Awesome.
dear.
All right. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Really appreciate all the
Thank you,
support. If you follow us on Twitter and on YouTube, if you watch live, all that stuff, thank you very much for all the support across the board, guys. If you want to talk to me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter. You can catch my streams twitch.tv/Teft, where I will be playing Planet Zoo and then Death Stranding. It's going to be a wild
Very
week.
similar games.
Wild week, yes.
Same thing. I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can catch me finishing up my Outer Worlds playthrough because I haven't finished. I got distracted with SideQuest. It's a big problem.
Yep.
So I'll be finishing that and then doing some Death Stranding starting Friday. It's gonna be an awesome ride. Find me at Miss 5000 Watts, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You know what? I've been playing a lot more of that too, and I kind of want to revisit a discussion on that game.
Oh,
I've got some different thoughts than I had when I was halfway through.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe next week we can.
Yeah, let's do a
revisit
roundup
that conversation.
yeah.
Fair. Interesting. You can catch me over on YouTube, youtube.com/RxG, or Twitter at Arx. This week, yeah, definitely be Death Stranding this week. And that's basically it. I'm hoping I can complete Death Stranding over the weekend. Otherwise, it will end up on my backlog, never to complete ever again. So we'll see.
So a weekend.
Hopefully,
Weekend,
maybe.
a 40-hour weekend, you say?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
How does that work?
We'll see.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me on Twitter. Just look for @TheBriarRabbit, or hit that thumbs up on that Boner Bridge.
Boner Bridge Plus.
Make sure if you see my bridge, slap a like on it.
Please.
I need it.
Like and subscribe to my bridge.
The future of post-apocalyptic North America depends on it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next
Thanks,
week.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.